As a teacher, teaching about the cytoplasm and cytoskeleton is sometimes kind of challenging because it's everywhere. It's kind of like trying to teach a little kid what is air. If you point to it and say, there it is, they say, what? The air, it's right here. See, there. Where? They see nothing because it's actually all around. Whenever you look at a diagram of the cell and you see an arrow pointing to what looks like nothingness, they're often typically pointing at the cytoplasm. So what is the cytoplasm? Technically, the cytoplasm is a location in the cell. The name cytoplasm means literally the cell, cyto, plasm means gooey liquid. So this means literally the gooey liquid of the cell. When people were first looking through microscopes at cells, they could see that there was an outside of some sort, and because they were looking at plants, they called that the cell wall. And then later on, they figured out that there was a membrane there. And then they saw that there was something in the middle, so they called that the nucleus, which means the middle. And then everything in between looked like nothing. It was a space, so they called it the gooey liquid. That's of the cell, so cytoplasm. We know now that that location is actually chock full of other organelles. So when most people talk about the cytoplasm, they're still talking about that liquid, but it's actually technically, according to some of the test writers, a location. So beware when somebody's asking questions about that. So we call that liquid more properly the cytosol, which means the solution or liquid of the cell. What goes on in the cytosol, because it's mostly water, it allows it to dissolve materials and allows them to easily diffuse from one place to another inside the cell. It's also chock full of enzymes and proteins and even the ribosomes. They're floating around inside of that cytosol, and it allows a lot of important chemical reactions. For example, glycolysis, the initial breakdown of sugar, happens in the cytoplasm. Very similarly, literally, technically, the cytoplasm is the cytoskeleton. This one, if you look at the name cytoskeleton, you're starting to realize, hey, it's the skeleton of the cell. And it's made up of microtubules and microfilaments, much like your skeleton is made up of bones and ligaments. And these microtubules and microfilaments give structure and shape to the cell. Let's take a look at this. Now, here we see the standard cell diagram, and you can see these little lines here. Those are what they labeled the microtubules and microfilaments of the cytoskeleton. And this white area here, that's the cytoplasm. Now, I've always laughed when I've seen these drawings where they show, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 microtubules or microfilaments. Let's take a look at what it would really look like. If we look at this, all this green stuff is just a few of the microfilaments that are within this cell, or the microtubules. A cell is chock full of them. If you could see the proteins that make up the cytoskeleton, it would look like Spider-Man went insane, just started spraying his webs all over the place. And they're made up of the same specialized proteins that make up your muscle. And just like your muscle is able to move your arms around, these tubules here, these filaments here, they can grab organelles and carry them from where they're needed. And they can also push out the membrane. And this is how your white blood cells are able to shift and move to chase down some bacteria. And there you go.